Said I didn't answer for you. Finish. You don't call me any name.
My friend.
Then answer. Finish.
If I ask you a question, what is your name? And you say,
My name is Rami.
listen. If I ask you what is your name, and you say, if you tell me what bus goes from Marble Arch
I tell you
to
why.
Oxford Circus, then you know my name.
I tell you why.
That's very cryptic, isn't
because
it?
The answer,
very cryptic.
The answer
But
is...
that is not even close to the discussion we had.
Yes.
Because we were discussing, now let me help you now. We were saying the word son, S-O-N in the English language. What does it mean as you applied it in your statement? You said, if you answer the question whether Jerusalem first and Mecca later, it will help you understand the word meaning of the word son.
You will help you to understand. That is the
wait. If you really think so, you're in the wrong discussion. So I'm going to end the discussion.
No, I will answer you. I tell you.
I'm not interested.
It's not well.
Okay, so Edward.
You see, that relationship is the deepest mystery.
Edward.
Jehovah's Witnesses
Slow down.
also ask
Slow
that
down.
question,
Slow down.
what you've asked.
I haven't asked you about relationships that you think Jesus has with God.
Yes.
I'm simply asking you. You made a statement in the English language.
Yes.
And I am asking you to qualify your statement by giving the meaning of the word son as you've used it. For example, let me help you now. The word son in the English language means the following several meanings. Either. It means a literal meaning of biological son.
Excuse me.
You answer that, no problem.
Hello.
Can you not record while he's
I'm talking to some really interesting people here. We're having a really good discussion. That's
Before you explain, I was explaining to you about the word son. So it means a literal son, like your biological offspring.
No, not in this particular case.
I'm not saying this is what applies. I'm going to give you the options first, right?
Yes.
As explained in the English language dictionaries, because we are speaking English.
Yes.
A literal meaning of a biological offspring, whether of a human being or of animals and so on.
Yes.
This is the son.
Yes.
Or a figurative meaning where you call someone your son out of compassion, out of love. For example, someone younger than me, I could call him my son, how are you? Even though he's not my biological son.
Yes.
Or you can call someone son by a legal sense of the meaning, an adopted son. You can adopt someone legally, and in papers it says, he is your son and you're his father, right? That's it, you can call your father and you can call him your son.
Yes.
So, briefly speaking, you have these three meanings of the word son. So when you use the word son, which of the meanings do you apply?
When I describe the God of the Bible, none.
Then don't use the word son then, because you're using a word and not using any of its meaning. So you are in effect, what you're saying is, you're saying something which no one understands, even though they're supposed to understand it. For example, when I say for example, I could totally mean, it means, how are you today? For example, means how are you today?
No, you're firing things at me. I'm not firing anything at you. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm only trying to explain from my view, from my perspective, from my faith. I know what you mean. But you see, the declaration of the Trinity cannot be described by any human language or by any dictionary.
Why is it revealed then?
Because it was declared at the council called at Nicaea in the year 325.
Why did God reveal it?
We believe it was there all the time, but it was only publicly declared.
I want you to understand one thing. Do we all agree there are infinite things about God that we cannot grasp?
Yes.
Because we are finite.
Yes, of course.
Good. When God, the infinite,
yes,
wants to communicate with the finite,
yes,
do you agree He will only communicate the things that we will understand? Yes. Otherwise, it will be a failure of communication. So if, for example, God has a nature that it is impossible for you to understand, and God communicates to you, that would be a failure of communication, because communication has these three essential things.
yes,
The one who communicates, the message that is communicated,
yes,
and the one who receives the communication. Right? If there is no one to receive the communication, there is no point communicating.
yes,
If the message that is communicated to the recipient is not going to be understood, there is no point communicating.
yes.
So if God knows that the Trinity is not something that anyone can grasp, why did he communicate something that would be impossible to communicate? It's a failure of communication, isn't it?
Yeah, because the answer is Jesus. The Word became flesh.
So you said
Jesus was
no one
born
understands
as a man.
unity.
He spoke as a man and drew 12 men towards him and gave him their authority. He also healed the men and
If he was
preached
man,
to
then he could not be God in any way, shape, or form. Because if you are God, you cannot be anything other than God.
Who says?
I'll tell you why. Is God all loving? Can he become hate if he's all loving? Why not?
He is all love. He is love. He's
Because the
holy.
concept of love, all loving, automatically excludes anything that contradicts all loving. Hate being one of them. If God is God, anything that contradicts him being not God will be what? Rejected. So human beings, by definition, are weak, dependent, finite, limited, created. This is all antithesis to God. Do you agree? That means that means
Please be, a little bit more understanding. I am limited for time.
sure. So when you say God became a human, you're saying God became non-God. God all loving became not all loving. God all knowledgeable became not all knowledgeable.
Can you allow me, please?
Explain.
I believe that Jesus was perfect man and perfect God in perfect unity. Hence, he was able to forgive men's sins, and yet he needed to eat and drink.
Was he all knowledgeable?
Sorry?
Was he all knowledgeable?
In his divinity, yes. From his humanity, that's not completely.
When,
That is a
when
mystery.
Jesus was he speaking as God was a man?
Perfect unity.
So when he was saying, does that fig tree have any figs? Who was speaking? Jesus the man or Jesus the God?
Both.
So Jesus the God, knowing there is no figs, he still said, there might be figs. Knowing there is no figs, but still saying there might be figs. So when he says, no one knows the hour, no one knows the hour, not even the angels, not even the Son, but only the Father. So are you saying at that moment, God the Son, in your belief,
Yes.
knew the hour when it's going to come to, the world's going to come to an end? He knew.
Again, because Jesus, I believe, was perfect man and God in perfect unity.
As a
Everything
perfect
he
God,
said,
did he
from
know
his-
when the hour is going to come?
God the Father, God the Son are separate, but
God
he's
the
of
Son.
one substance.
If
But
God
they are
the
still
Son is
separate.
God,
But they are still separate.
that's the question. Edward, God the Son, in your belief, he is all knowledgeable, right?
Can I just say something? This is
Is
sounding
he all
more-
knowledgeable?
all the way
I want
through
to
this.
know, I want to know.
But I'm trying to explain, but you are firing things at me, and it's like every single thing you say to me is a challenge. Understand that
Why
I
is
am
this
not
so challenging?
because of the
Simple
way
things.
that you were talking.
Okay. Have I said anything
doing it
that is
now. You're
insulting you
shouting.
apart from me shouting over? I'm shouting because I cannot hear even myself. So much
Oh,
noise.
that's
all around.
okay. So you should have said, sorry for shouting.
I apologized before, right?
Because I feel intimidated. Because everything you say is like,
Oh,
is
Edward.
it this? Is it that?
Sorry,
Is it in the dictionary? And it's like, I'm like, yeah, well, this is what I believe. I know what you believe. I'm only trying to explain
As
what
I said,
I believe.
I'm going to try to not be very quiet.
I respect your
If you-
sincerity.
If you don't listen, because I'm going to be speaking in a very nervous, tell me I'll raise my voice. When you believe Jesus is the Son of God, or God the Son, He's God. Perfect God. Perfect God has perfect knowledge.
He knows everything.
Or not.
I did say, God the Father, God the Son are separate.
I didn't ask
And yet
you
of one substance. They can talk to one another. They are equal. But there are certain things attributed to God the Father that are not attributed to God the Son. The attributes are asked connected with God the Son is that He is the Saviour of the human race. He is that being of the Blessed Trinity we believe, who encapsulated, who took on human flesh and died a cruel death in place of sacrifice.
So when it comes to knowledge,
God the
Edward,
Father did
when it comes to knowledge, God the Son in your belief, does He have perfect knowledge? Because to be God, do you agree you have to have perfect knowledge? Yeah?
From the point of His humanity, you see,
No,
this
not
is half the
humanity.
mystery.
Leave the humanity aside.
I can't.
God the Son,
I cannot.
okay, was He always human?
No. Okay,
Good.
Good point.
Before He was human, Was God the Son, in your belief, perfect in his knowledge?
Because I believe that he was there when Moses asked the burning God, using the burning bush, who are you? I am who
So
I
you
am.
believe
Who's
God,
the answer?
you
I
believe
am who
God
I am,
the
yeah,
Son,
yeah.
so you believe God the Son had perfect knowledge. If you have perfect knowledge, that means you know the past, the present, and the future. Is it possible for you, while knowing the future, not to know the future later?
Jesus said everything that he said was for the good of the human race. There are certain
That's what I'm
things-
asking. Once you are a God and you know the
Can I just
past,
say something? Your answer is, do you know what your question is?
before you-
I am not God, so I cannot answer that question because it is. You know what? You want to know such things that if I knew them, I would be God.
what about God the
I am
Father?
not God.
What about God the Father? Does he have perfect knowledge?
Yes.
So is it possible for God the Father?
Can you create something from nothing? Can you create a blade of grass? Can you create a man from nothing?
God with his power of his speech.
Neither can I. I cannot wonder.
Did you even hear my statement?
Because I am a man. It's no different.
Are we talking about man or are we talking about God?
We're talking about Jesus, not about God.
This is where I work. You need to understand where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from talking about Jesus the man. We're talking about God. Before the universe was created, do you believe?
Because I'm
Look, that's stressy, man, on this. My God.
God?
Where's my brother?
It was very stressy.
Marble arches. By the way,
Can you help me with my brother?
as you go. Do you know anything about Islam?
Yes, I do.
Do you know that we believe in a book of God called the Quran?
Yes, yes.
Please read it.
I know.
That's okay.